Hello and welcome to new tapu video. I mean, this is not a new tapu video. I've done that before, but we're gonna do this in a new manner today, because today I want to talk about Tornadus Metagross theme. A lot of you have been hearing about that, alright? A lot of you have been probably fearing it if you played on Sports Simulator. I mean, unless you saw a bunch of these Tornadus and dynamax team. This is probably the second team that brings a lot of fear to you, and for good reason. The Tornadus Metagross combination is almost, how do we say, ridiculous. The idea basically of this combination is, I'm gonna spare you the details. Tailwind, set up tailwind if you need to outspeed pretty much everything in the game, as you're seeing here. The speed investment is just enough. Actually, this is wrong give spread, but we're gonna go over that in a bit. Basically, with Tailwind, this Metagross actually outspeeds pretty much everything in the game. No, everything in the game. You outspeed Formosa, which is the fastest Pokemon, unless we count Ninjask. But that Pokemon doesn't count, alright? And Metagross just does what it needs to do. It goes for steelspike to increase defense if it needs to, max quake to increase special defense if it needs to, and Ice Punch for some certain coverage. Yeah, it needs a coverage. We're gonna go over that a bit later, but it's amazing coverage for it. And if you see Landorus steering form that Dynamax is, well, why not just one-shot it immediately, right? So that's the idea. Turn 1, unless you already outspeed everything and you do not fear anything. If the situation calls for it, you can go for either turn 1 or turn 2. Go for brutal swing, proc the weakness also on Metagross, and become even more ridiculous. All that happening while Metagross is completely immunized to any stat drops, stat drops, so Intimidate doesn't work. Ice Summoning doesn't work, while your own Ice Summon, of course, works against the opponent. Again, another factor in how ridiculous this combination can get, but if you doubt the power of Metagross, I'm gonna show you some calculations. This is the only calculations I'm gonna show you in the video, so let's go over these real quick. Most of these calculations are gonna be +2, except for like one, as I'm gonna mention. +2 Metagross's max quake against Incineroar, that's 164 to 194%, so you have to Dynamax Incineroar to survive this or run inferior Sugar Berry. +2 Metagross's max Steelspike against Dynamax Dragapult is 25% the one-shot, but of course, that's only if Dragapult is chipped. If you want to one-shot it, you go for max Steelspike, max Hellstorm immediately. And of course, you can go for Tailwind turn 1, and then tank the max, go for max Steelspike, tank the max Phantasm. Do not, max Phantasm doesn't lower your defense because you got a Clear Body, and then you finish it off with max Hellstorm the second turn, for example. Metagross's max Hellstorm against Dynamax Dragapult with +2 is a guaranteed one-shot, as I have just mentioned. Metagross's max Quake against Dynamax Tapu Koko, +2 attack is guaranteed one-shot. Metagross's max quake against Dynamax Heatran is guaranteed one-shot as well. So for Heatran to survive this attack, it needs to run Sugar Berry and Dynamax, or else it doesn't survive this attack. Metagross's max Hellstorm against Dynamax Venusaur is a guaranteed one-shot, so if they proc your weakness with max quake, too bad, you just one-shot them back. Metagross's max Hellstorm against Dynamax Landorus Tyrian form, even without the attack boost for weakness policy, is still a one-shot. The Metagross's max Quake against another Dynamax Metagross does 65 to 77%. Keep an eye on that. This might be very useful calculation, well, if you get mirrors, if you want to use this theme. Metagross's max Quake against Torkoal, if you got +2 attack, is still a one-shot. Even the highest of the highest defenses Torkoal has doesn't spare him or her from getting one-shotted. Metagross's max Steelspike against Rillaboom is still a one-shot if you're +2 attack. So this is, I think I picked this Rillaboom calculation just to show you that even something as quite bulky as Rillaboom just gets so easily one-shotted. Its minimum roll is 124%. Wow. And that has base 90 defense, and it runs almost max HP. Not in this case, but most of the time it runs max HP, and it would still probably do like a minimum of 120%. So don't count, like even if you're normally effective, it's still one shot, and it's just ridiculous. As you're seeing the tapu feeding calculation right now, I didn't calc tapu feeding, but it's also very defensive Pokemon, and of course, from my experience at least, I always one-shotted it, so hopefully the calculation is correct. And Metagross's max Steel Spike against max defense Dusclops, the 63 to 72, 74%. Some super effective attacks do this. Much damage by actually. This is super effective attack with weakness policy based, so not much surprise here, but this is just testament to power of Metagross if it gets weakness policy. And this is one of the tricks of Metagross does, alright? I'm gonna go over defensive calculations just a bit, but just a note, most of the time, Metagross doesn't even need the weakness policy to be proc from Tornadus. It has... Most opponents want Metagross immediately dead, which means it procs the weakness policy, doesn't faint, and then gets the... just one-shots everything rest on the team, because most of the predators, that being Sunrise, Dragapult, it just one-shots back. Venusaur gets one-shotted back. Incineroar gets one-shotted back. It's ridiculous. So most of its counter-actions are proc your weakness policy, and then you one-shot it back. We're going to go over with counter-actions to Metagross later in the video. So some defensive calculations. Life Orb Blind Resistant Max Quake against Dynamax Metagross. Life Orb Blind Resistant Max Quake. Does 75 to 88%. Not even close to one-shotting. Wow. And of course one-shots back like twice as well. Heatrance Max Flare against this Dynamax Metagross. 73 to 86%. Again, not a one-shot. Procs a weakness policy, and it probably one-shots back. And keep in mind, the Metagross will most likely get the tailwind up first, then use Max Quake to increase the special defense, and then the Max Flare does about... Well, you get most of these calculations, you can use simple math. Just divide by 3 increase, and then times it 2 times, and you get the +1 special defense or +1 defense calculations. In this case, I think this does about 60% maximum. So yeah, they proc a weakness plus, and you're screwed again. So again, Heatran not doing much here. Heatran's Heatwave is guaranteed for 8 KO. Come on, that's ridiculous. Life Orb Sunrise G-Max Fireball, 160 base power, Life Orb super effective stab attack. 73 to 86%. Unfortunately, you don't one-shot, and they one-shot you back. Life Orb Sunrise, we just go over that. Life Orb Dragapult Max Phantasm against this Dynamax Metagross, that's 60 to 71%. Life Orb Max Phantasm, 60 to 71%. Absolutely ridiculous. Urshifu single strike with good blow against Dynamax Metagross and critical hit. Has 57% to hit KO, and this is Urshifu will be one of the best counters to Metagross after it stops Dynamaxing, because it has quite a high chance to one-shot it. But it's not guaranteed chance. And of course, if they Dynamax, they'll max steelspike, but again, you can crit through the steelspike, so... And he most likely got focus on Urshifu, so this is one of the best counters to Metagross. Togekiss' Max Flare, max special attack, super effective on a critical hit, the 69 to 81%, and of course they one-shot you back with Max Steel Spike. Life Orb Sheer Force Liners Earth Power against Dynamax Metagross, that's 71 to 84%, again, not enough to one-shot. Tapu Life Orb Rising Voltage against Dynamax Metagross in Electric Train, that being 140 base power attack. 96% to 2-hit KO. Again, they will most likely Tailwind, Max Quake you to 4 to 1-shot, so again, no dice here most of the time. And Incineroar's Flare Blitz against Dynamax Metagross does 33 to 40%. Not too bad, but also kind of horrible, because you proc the weakness policy, and you really cannot afford this. So this is the Metagross's firepower. It's completely ridiculous, as you probably seen from the calculations right now. So what's the deal? Why are we running this kind of team composition? Well, I explained the Tornadus stuff, but let's actually explain the Tornadus a bit more in detail. Most of the time, from my experience, you absolutely need Tailwind and Brutal Swing, and then you won't turn Protect. This is an old variant of the team. I didn't run Protect, but from my experience, Protect throws most of the counter strategies off guard, because most of them just count on you having a not Protect, so they can fake out your Tornadus and then finish it up with their secondary attack. Protect completely breaks that, and Protect not only helps you deal with fake out strategies, but some turn 1 double ups. I've seen a lot of people double up Tornadus turn 1, and you can, for example, protect Tornadus, then go for max steelspike or max quake to increase the survivability, then go for tailwind, another max steelspike or max quake for extra survivability, and then go for brutal swing to just win the game. With weakness plus beast Metagross. It's quite ridiculous and it works pretty miraculous. The protect gives you so many more options. Of course, you can, for example, set up second tailwind as well. I actually went over this spread in one of my earlier videos, so if you want to look into that, you should watch the Tornadus video. But Isowind is one of my personal favorites because along with Metagross's speed being this much, if you Isowind Charizard, Metagross just outspeeds it, and that's pretty much good enough. That's good enough speed, and you outspeed pretty much everything you need. Isowind also allows you to, for example, outspeed Landorus, Tyrion form, Urshifu, and for example, Urshifu just get Isowinded and then probably finished off by the max steelspike from Metagross. It's so many useful combinations you can go for with Isowind, and Metagross outspeeds everything that's base 100 speed and has positive nature as well, so it's quite ridiculous. And that's pretty much the set on Tornadus. You can run Focus Sash, but I really would prefer if Urshifu would have the Focus Sash for some late game cleanups. Mental Herb is just good for Whimsicott. If opponent has Whimsicott, they can taunt you faster than you can taunt, then you can set up Tailwind, and this is just great strategy. You can also, for example, even if Tornadus goes for their Tailwind, and if, for example, protected one, you can go for your own Tailwind and be immune to their taunt the second turn. So again, Mental Herb is probably the best second best item on Tornadus. And Metagross, what does this spread do? Well, it gets breakpoint on the attack, so it gets 2 extra points. We're not wasting any EVs. And rest is put to speed to outspeed the base 100s after a single Isowind. And rest is put to the bulk. And so we preserve the EVs. We also put 4 here for extra points in our EV spread. Actually, I've been using Meteor Mash all the time, but Iron Head is a bit better, since it allows you to be more accurate outside of the dynamax form, and it gives you the same as powerful dynamax move or max move as Meteor Mash does. Earthquake and Ice Punch are mandatory for some coverage moves. For coverage, that is to, for example, KO Landorus, Tornadus, other Pokemon that would give you a large amount of trouble. It accompanies these two coverage moves quite nicely, and you can use, myself, I find Thunder Punch very useful on the Metagross as well. Thunder Punch gives you immunity to sleep and yawns, and also allows you to take care of bulky boulders that otherwise I've seen a lot of bulky boulders just dynamax and think like, ha, I'm invincible, and you just one-shot them with max lightning. You can also probably one-shot, two-shot the Tapu Fini with Wicked Blow plus max lightning, so I'm a huge fan of that combination of attacks as well, since it allows Urshifu to keep its focus slash most of the time. But I'm mostly a YOLO player, so I mostly run no protects on my teams and it doesn't work out, but sometimes it works out greatly. But if you want to be more safer player, go for protect. If you want to go for YOLO though, I very highly recommend at least trying out Thunder Punch on the Metagross to prevent these pesky yawns from happening on you. And now for the rest of the team. So Urshifu is probably the third most important Pokemon on this team, because it's such a good late game cleanup Pokemon. It's the singular best Pokemon without Dynamax factored in. It's literally so good. It doesn't need it's weaker in Dynamax form, so you never want to Dynamax it. It survives at least one attack, has amazing speed and power. It can crit through drops, boosts, and go through protect with a Wicked Blow and Unseen Fists. Close Combat is amazing and powerful attack as well, and it got priority as well for extra coverage. It's so ridiculously good for late game cleanups. And Protect, of course, for Protect shenanigans, so you just gotta survive more turns. It's absolutely amazing late game cleanup Pokemon, and you know what? It helps with mirrors as well, like crazy. Because as I've said in the Metagross calculation, Wicked Blow can actually one-shot Metagross. It has good chance, and there is a chance that if you are in the Metagross mirrors, their Metagross was hurt at least a little bit. Like, if it gets hurt by 10%, Wicked Blow finishes it off in late game and goes through Protect. So Urshifu also helps in Metagross mirrors so very greatly. Their opponent's just ridiculous. So yeah, definitely keep Urshifu, and with Focus Sash it's even more ridiculous because it always survives 2 attacks and can go for Sucker Punch second turn. You get the idea, it's quite good. Now for the rest of the team, If we got tailwind mode, that's pretty efficient, alright. Actually, I want to delete... Or wait a minute. I'm gonna go over this different team, actually. So bear with me. Oh my goodness, what? That's not the team I want to talk about. But my showdown lags a bit because I just got so many teams on it. Alright, so if urshifu is the second best team on the team, Pokemon on the team, you want to run Tapu Lele as a either choice pack sweeper, that being this EV spread I've shown a Tapu Lele video. So if you want to learn more about this, just go to Tapu Lele video. I have a link in the description. But Tapu Lele or Tapu Fini most of the time are the second best Pokemon on the team. I myself would highly recommend running choice cards on Tapu Lele because there are going to be a lot of tailwind teams and you want to just outspeed these teams with your Tapu Lele and just go for a late game sweep. From my experience, choice card Tapu Lele with expanding force is a mini Kyogre. It has does not get rain boost. It's psychic rain boost, which is only increases the power by 30%. Rain increases the power of other moves by 50%. It doesn't have base 150 special attack, it has base 130 special attack. And instead of it using 150 base power water spout, it uses 120 base power expanding force. But nevertheless, it's a mini Kyogre that does the job remarkably well in late game. You just have to play it against it or play it yourself to just get feeling how ridiculously powerful it makes you feel in late games. But it's going to be slapped on a lot of teams, honestly, and this team is no exception. It just works well on it, because this team just revolves around one strong dynamax, so it needs as many easily slappable non-dynamaxes as possible, and choice card Tapu Lele and urshifu are literally best Pokemon in that job in Series 7, at least in my opinion from my testing on the custom showdown server. And now for the Trick Room counteraction. So Trick Room there are like two variants of Trick Room that are running around, and you need to counteract both of them very nicely. So one variant is using the Cresselia or Dusclops to support a team, and then after their Resurrection Faints, they switch into their mega powerful Dynamax Pokemon with weakness policy. They self-proc the weakness policy and let the Dynamax Reaper rock and roll. This is where amoonguss works absolutely beautifully, because it puts both Dusclops and Cresselia to sleep, and most of the time outspeeds Riparior and many other Trick Room sweepers, and it completely takes care of them, like completely easily, and just puts everything to sleep on a Trick Room team. Of course, a lot of Trick Room teams are going to adapt. I don't know how, but I would expect them to add Tapu Fini, but at least you force them to bring Tapu Fini, which is extremely bad against Metagross if it gets max quake boost status. So that is the idea of running amoonguss. It beats these teams. And there is the second variant of how the Trick Rooms, which involve running either Stack Attack or Hatterini as the Trick Room setter, and then having a bunch of easily slappable Trick Room Pokemon like Torkoal with choice packs or Assault Vest Dynamax in the back to finish off the sweeps with that weakness policy. So they set up Trick Room, then they Dynamax Hatterini or Stack Attack, they wait for the Torkoal Dynamax to switch in, and then they just sweep with their Pokemon they got already on the field. They don't have to wait for anything, so they're, I think, a bit better than the weakness policy Trick Room sweepers. In these cases, amoonguss doesn't work because Stack Attack just outspeeds it. I mean, amoonguss works against Stack Attack, but if they got Hatterini, it's Immunited Spore, Torkoal outspeeds and one-shots amoonguss, and Metagross. Of course, that's a huge danger. So you cannot afford to run amoonguss against these teams. It doesn't work. So I myself, even when recording this video, I just realized how good Choice Packs Fini can be even on this team if we already got Tapu Lele. Basic set will be Hydro Pump for great single target coverage, but in order to just take care of the fire types, as I've said just right now, Dazzling Gleam and Beam Blast for against spread and single target attacks. You want to run max special attack for maximum amount of power, maybe a bit of speed to outspeed Dragapult in Tailwind. So that's basically the best spread you can run on Tapu Fini. Literally, quite literally. And it takes care of Torkoal, well, quite nicely. And if you, like, along with Metagross, you can actually boost the defenses, right? Max Steelspike and Max Quake respectively give you good defenses. So, if you increase defenses, and with Tapu Fini being that ridiculous a bulky as you're seeing right now, look at that. Look at these stats. Base 115 defense, base 130 special defense. It will tank the hits like crazy. And if you're going to be with Metagross and Tapu Fini, you should be tanking enough of the Trick Room to the point you should be able to somehow slow it out and then take care of it with Tapu Fini being faster, plus Urshifu being ridiculous. But Focus Sash with good blows, close combats, and even sucker punches if you need to go for one more turn off. If there is one more turn off Trick Room, you can just sucker punch to finish something off. So that is the second under Trick Room strategy. And that's most likely the team composition you want to have on your team, right? Well, so honestly, this is like the best team composition because it counteracts everything, but here are the bread and butter of this team. How does it work exactly? It needs Tornadus Metagross to go for the basic strategy. It needs Urshifu to take care of the Metagross's mirrors and to be excellent late game cleanupper. Then it needs either Tapu Fini with choice picks, Tapu Lele with choice picks, or Tapu Lele with choice scarf. Choice picks Tapu Lele works better if they don't have their own tailwind, but if opponent got their own tailwind, like most of them will, choice scarf Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele is just infinitely better because choice picks Lele is quite slow and quite sustainable to whatever they go for because they are faster. So choice scarf Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele will most likely be the best thing, and choice picks Tapu Fini then being the second best, and choice picks Tapu Lele being the third best for that slot. Then you absolutely need something like amoonguss to take care of majority amount of Trick Room teams, so you don't just fall behind them. And then last slot, as you have seen many times before, is pretty much free. You have seen Landorus here, but it doesn't do that much of a good job against counteracting Metagross, so Urshifu does the job better. And Tapu Lele, Tapu Fini are just so much better than Landorus Therian form or anything in the back, that you most likely, like 90% of the time, are going to be bringing a Tornadus Metagross late, and then Urshifu plus Tapu Lele or Fini in the back. This combination of 4 Pokemon just works so well that the last slot is just so easily forgettable. In my testing, I used Landorus. I never used Landorus. After like 50 battles, I never used it like twice. So the last slot is extremely customizable, which I think is going to be overall making the team so much more powerful. Because you got customizable last slot. It's just ridiculous. You can use anything with a slot, as I've seen here. Like, I've been crafty with these slots. So basically, what I did, one of my more successful variants of the team, I used Torkoal, the Phantom Ferrothorn, which is, by the way, a huge trouble for this team. Because if they got like +2 defense, Urshifu won't be able to take care of it. Body press one-shots back because you take Iron Barbs after a Wicked Blow or close combat. So I've tried this variant, so basically I swapped amoonguss for Torkoal, as you're seeing here, and then in the last slot I used the customizable last slot I used for Venusaur. So Torkoal is still good in Trick Room counteraction, and Venusaur still has the sleep capability of amoonguss, and we got completely secondary mega powerful mode on this team that can take care of so many stuff again. Completely different approach, and a lot of people just can't counteract Tornadus Metagross and Venusaur Torkoal at the same time. So that's the idea of this team. And with that, I think I talked about everything I wanted to cover. Oh yeah, the counteraction. So how do you counteract this? So I'm actually going to make separate. I didn't think of it before I made the video. So to counteract this team, most of the time you want to use this move. Wait a minute. Will-O-Wisp. Will-O-Wisp is singularly the most easily counteraction to this team, at least to Metagross, because it doesn't proc the weakness policy and it just burns the Metagross. If you got Sableye, it's excellent. Rotom Heat is one of the good counteractions to this team, honestly, as well, because it resists everything that the Metagross throws at it, and I'm going to be highly doubtful of Metagross ever running Rock Slide. Manibus can be good counteraction as well because it resists most of the hits, and then can go for mega powerful full plays. Even with weak armor, you can outspeed them and go for mega powerful full plays as well, and outspeed them and just do it kill Metagross. So that's another idea you can go for with Manibus. Rotom Heat with Will-O-Wisp is going to be excellent. Torkoal, if you want to run Venusaur, if you go like 2-3 slots, I would highly recommend running Torkoal Venusaur. With Sleep Powder, you can put it, for example, the Metagross to sleep, Tornadus has to choose between Taunt, and if you want to go extra counteraction, you want to run Sugar Berry and Burning Jealousy on the Torkoal. Same applies for Incineroar. Incineroar is also excellent with Sugar Berry and Burning Jealousy, or Will-O-Wisp, so that's another great idea if you want to run the counteraction. you can use this kind of sets on pretty much any fire type that learns Burning Jealousy or Will-O-Wisp, and you should be successful in halting the Metagross sweep. After Metagross and dynamaxes, and you got your own tailwind, switch it to urshifu and try to just one-shot it or finish it up with Wicked Blow. The hardest part will be to take care of Metagross in the Dynamax form, so these 4 Pokemon I just recommended to you are excellent in taking care of that. Incineroar especially is just so easily stoppable on a team, and a lot of Metagross I will just not expect the Sugar Berry. For example, go for Brutal Swing, turn 1 with Max Quake, they will just not one-shot you, Burning Jealousy them, and he already wasted 1 turn and burned the Metagross, so your Dynamax are next to you should be able to take the hits for a Metagross extremely well. Just don't try to one-shot a Metagross. That's the biggest mistake a lot of people are going to do. You have to just out-gimmick it, let's say, or wait for the Dynamax to end and then one-shot it. You need to burn it. Something like burn it. It's sort of like my tabs. I don't think Metagross has many counteractions, unfortunately. But going for sleep with Focus Sash user or burning it are the best bets. You got like, I've seen like amoonguss, for example, is not a horrible counteraction to this. I've seen some Dragapult plus amoonguss can, for example, go for max airstream, and then with max speed Focus Sash amoonguss you can go for Spore. That's faster than the Metagross. Because it reaches maximum amount of 135 speed after a single max airstream boost, so you just outspeed that. If they go for Brutal Swing to break your Focus Sash, you will put them to sleep. If they go for a Tailwind, they won't be able to one-shot amoonguss with Max Hailstorm, and you get a free switch in after Max Hailstorm, Hail finishes you off. So another good counteraction would be Dragapult plus amoonguss. So that's another recommendation I can give you. And this is probably it for counteractions. Honestly, people are gonna think of more things as the time comes by, but so far, even without a metagame, there is not much of a metagame right now, but this is probably as far as I can go with Theory Morning. Unfortunately for you, we're gonna see. This combination is gonna be ridiculous. I'm really gonna be curious to see how people are gonna counteract this, so with that being said, hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and hopefully you learned something new, so I'll catch you next time after Crown Turbo releases on my Twitch channel. See ya!